Hi everybody, this is another video update from our family, and I realize that it's only been a couple of weeks since we sent out our previous one, but in reality we have a lot of information that we would like to pass across to all of you, and even more than what's going to be contained in this video. So in this particular video I would like to emphasize the financial need that our family has in order for us to return back to Nigeria in a few months. Before going into some of the specifics, I would like to just highlight a couple of factors that will put some perspective on the finances that we are trying to raise. The first one, as I mentioned in our previous newsletter, the primary goal of our family to spend this last season in Nigeria is to hand over the leadership of the school that we pioneered into the hands of one of the local pastors. He's been involved in our school for over 5 years, and so I really believe that we've made a good choice. And I definitely believe that this is going to be feasible. However, I also know that there are going to be major hurdles that we are going to face during this process. In order to overcome some of these hurdles, we are planning to implement some moderate changes to the structure of our school. And these changes are going to serve two purposes. The first purpose is simply to make it easier for the school to sustain itself financially without as many resources coming in from outside of the school. The second purpose is that these changes are going to add tremendous value to what we've been able to offer our students. And in order to make those changes, it is going to require some capital up front. But again, our purpose of going back over this next year is so that we can hand over the leadership of the school to the local pastor. And when we do that, we want to make sure that the school is in as excellent condition as possible so that the new leadership has everything that they need in order to succeed. Another factor that sheds light on our recent financial need is our level of monthly support. Now, our current level of support is actually not much different than it was 11 years ago when we first went to Nigeria. It has fluctuated through the years, but it has mostly remained stable. But we knew even back then that the amount of monthly support that we raised was not ideal for us. And furthermore, as you know, over the last 11 years, the prices of goods and services have significantly increased. Just to draw a comparison, in order for you to really understand the situation of our family, there are currently individuals who are preparing to go to the mission field, various countries of the world. They are in the process of raising their monthly support. And oftentimes that target that they set for their monthly support for one person is more than what our family receives in a normal month, which is divided among 6 people. Now, we've recognized this even several years ago, and actually at the beginning of 2017 I made it a goal of mine to increase our monthly support by 50%. That was a major priority that I had. But in light of the events that our family went through and the indecision that we had about going back to Nigeria, I put that goal on hold. And now, knowing that our time back in Nigeria is going to be limited, it doesn't really seem like it makes a lot of sense to revive that goal. But more so now, we are looking for one-time gifts. That's really what we are promoting. And certainly, if somebody wants to give a one-time gift and distribute it over the next year, that is perfectly acceptable. As I transition into the specifics of what we are trying to raise for different projects, let me just point out that this amount that I'm giving should be enough for everything that we need for a complete year. That if we can get these one-time gifts along with our regular monthly support, it should be enough to cover everything that we need in order to get us to Nigeria, to get us back home from Nigeria. It should be enough to cover all of our family's financial needs that we are anticipating over the next year, as well as to implement some of those changes that I am proposing for the school. If we're successful in doing that, basically we are going to meet our goal of coming back from Nigeria a year from now in the exact same financial position as when we left 11 years ago. Will be almost exactly the same. Now, it would have been nice over the 11 years if we'd been able to invest money into retirement fund. We weren't able to do that, and that's okay. That is a sacrifice that our family is willing to make. I almost forgot to also point out, over the last couple of months, our family has been tremendously successful at raising some of the support that we're going to need for this upcoming year in Nigeria for our last journey. I mentioned in our last newsletter that we already have our one-way tickets to Nigeria. We've also been supplied with some of the basic family needs that we were really praying for over this next year. And I've also already been able to purchase some of the materials and resources that we want to take back with us to Nigeria in order to implement some of these changes that I was talking about with the school. So as I propose this value coming up that we still need, this value that still remains, just keep in mind that this amount is actually less than half of what it was just a couple of months ago. So with all of that said, the total amount of finances that our family needs in order to go to Nigeria, do the things we want to do, and then to come back, the total amount is $17,000. And ideally, we would like to raise all $17,000 before we even fly. And I realize that some of these expenses are at least like 6 months out or even more. But since our journey to Nigeria this time is going to be relatively short compared to the previous times we've gone, we want to make sure that we are laser focused in accomplishing those tasks that we have set our hearts to accomplish. Now, from a realistic point of view, the bare minimum that we see necessary in order for us to go back to Nigeria is actually about half of that $17,000. So somewhere around $8,000 or $9,000 is what we need at minimum before we go back, because a lot of this is purchasing things that we need in order to go. Now I would like to break down that $17,000 into 3 basic categories. And the first category is what I'm just going to call travel expenses. And this is going to cost $8,000. This includes our return tickets back from Nigeria. It also includes our visa renewals or green card renewals. We just did it a few months ago to stay current, and within the next year we're going to have to do it again. The other thing we're going to have to do is renew 3 of our passports over the next year. So that is also included in this $8,000. The second category of that $17,000 is what I will label as ministry expenses. This is going to total to an amount of $4,000, and it includes educational resources for the school, both for Christian education and also technical. It also includes some basic office supplies that we need both for the school and also for Cindy and me over the next year. One of the major contributions, though, to this $4,000 is because we would like to incorporate teaching Raspberry Pi to our students. Some of you watched one of our previous newsletters from last year where you heard that I traveled to Lagos, Nigeria. That's a different town, different school. And I spent 2 weeks there teaching the students how to use the Raspberry Pi. And with what we are currently teaching in our school, along with the vision that we have for the future of our school, it almost makes perfect sense that we would also be teaching Raspberry Pi in our school. So we would like to purchase 15 to 20 Raspberry Pi kits. We would also like to purchase some of the electronic gadgets that are used so that our students can build like real projects using the Raspberry Pi. The remaining part of that is just a whole bunch of miscellaneous expenses. For example, Cindy and I need to replace the laptop batteries on our computers, so that's going to be like $150 to $200. There are some different sets of Christian books that we want to purchase for the discipleship school, so that's going to be like $200 or $300 there. With the Raspberry Pi, the office supplies and other educational resources, that is going to total an amount of $4,000. The third and final category of that $17,000 is what we are reserving for scholarships. The amount we need, or the target, is actually $4,800, but just to make the numbers look nice and pretty, we boosted that up to $5,000. This is something that we have actually already been doing over the last several years, specifically for the discipleship school. We have been raising scholarships so that the minimum number of paying students is met to ensure that the school can sustain itself financially. And many of you have made contributions for those scholarships. The changes that I plan to make when we get back to Nigeria, I strongly believe are going to drastically reduce the need for scholarships in future years. I really don't think it's going to eliminate it completely, but my goal is to reduce it down to the level where it can be carried by the people in the local community. There are people in the local community that are influential that have already been supporting sometimes multiple students to come to our school. I've also been communicating with the network of people that have migrated from that community in Nigeria here to the United States. And I can tell you that they care deeply about their community back home. They have been supporting our school in the past, and I'm also communicating with them to see what kind of commitments they can make just to make sure that we have enough scholarships to keep the school running in future years. And as I said, these changes that I plan to make, I think are going to drastically reduce the need in future years. But even if so, there's going to be a transition period. We want to make sure that we hand over the school to the new leadership in the best condition possible. And because of that, we want to make sure that for the next 1 year or maybe the next 2 years, they will definitely have enough students to meet that minimum number. I'd like to say a few things about how those scholarships are allocated. In our school, we offer 2 formal classes. We have a discipleship school, and we also have the technical program. Each one of those costs $300. If a student wants to complete both, they can potentially complete it within 1 year. The discipleship school looks almost identical to what is called a discipleship training school, which is offered by Youth with a Mission. Many of you have heard about this. It's offered all over the world. If you want to take a discipleship training school, or DTS, here in the United States, I think the current price is somewhere around $5,000 or $6,000. The school that we offer in Nigeria is only $300. Now, you're not going to get air conditioning. You're not going to eat chicken and beef every day. But I think you would agree with me that that is an incredible price. And if you are looking for an opportunity that you can really reach deeply into the life of an individual in a developing country, this is a very good option for you. As for the technical school, I wish that I could tell you that our students receive some kind of a degree or a diploma, but unfortunately we're just not at that level yet. However, with the changes that we plan to implement when we get back to Nigeria, the students that take our technical classes will be able to transfer those credits to another school in another city that we've been working very closely with. And if that student goes to that school for just 1 more semester, they will receive a diploma that is recognized by the federal government of Nigeria. So that is how the $17,000 is broken down. We have travel expenses, we have ministry expenses, and scholarships. We're trying to raise finances to provide for those financial needs. As I conclude this video, I would like you to consider that this school that our family has pioneered in this subsection of Nigeria, that it is one of a kind. It is truly a unique school. This region, this subset region of Nigeria where we serve, it's actually about the size of the state of Washington, and we have about 15 million people that are living there. And to our knowledge, we are the only Western missionaries that are serving in this region. It's an area where quality education is extremely scarce, either because of proximity or because of finances or religious discrimination. And I wish I could really take more time to talk about the school and explain the impact that this school has had in this region. But I really wanted to restrict the content of this video to the financial need that our family currently has. So finally, I'm asking you to prayerfully consider giving towards one of those 3 categories. And this is our final big push in Nigeria. After 11 years of serving there, this is our big finale. And as I've said multiple times, we want to hand over this school to the new leadership in the best condition as possible. And we are asking you to partner with us so that we can end well. Thank you for taking the time to watch this video. I'm going to include a link on our webpage and also on the Facebook post that gives instruction on how to donate money towards us. And I'm also just requesting that if you make a donation, will you please just privately send us a quick email or a Facebook message letting us know, because at this time of the month, if you wait, you know, a few days or a week before you send the money, it might be like 5 or 6 weeks before we actually find out that you have made that donation. And we are already in the process of accumulating items that we want to take back with us to Nigeria. So we're already organizing that, and having that information is going to make things so much easier for us. So again, thank you for watching this video. We love all of you. God bless you.